Okay, you know that feeling. The house is finally quiet. You've just settled down, maybe got a drink, feet up.
Yeah.
And then bang.
Yeah.
Your dog, bless their heart, decides it's time for an impromptu opera performance for the entire street.
Huh. Sounds very familiar to a lot of dog owners, I bet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if your peaceful home vibe is being, let's say, disrupted by your furry friend's vocals, then this deep dive, it's definitely for you.
Yeah.
We're really focusing on getting a handle on dog barking training.
We are. We've gone through this guide. It's called Mastering the Art of Dog Barking Training, Proven Techniques for a Peaceful Home, and basically pulled out the key stuff.
Right.
Think of this as a shortcut. Understanding why dogs bark and, crucially, how to actually manage it effectively without getting bogged down in overly technical stuff. Our mission is really to find those proven strategies for a quieter house.
Precisely. And it's not just about getting some peace, although, let's be honest, that's a huge bonus.
Definitely a bonus.
This is more about, understanding how your dog communicates, building a better relationship, lowering stress for everyone.
Including the dog.
Including the dog.
Yeah.
And, well, just being a good neighbor, a responsible pet owner.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. Why? Why do dogs bark so much? What's really going on there?
Well, it's fascinating, actually. Barking is one of their main ways of communicating. It's how they express a whole range of things about how they're feeling or what's happening around them.
So it's like their version of talking.
In a way, yeah. Unlike us with our complex language, they use these sounds, barks, whines, growls, to signal needs, emotions, reactions. It's pretty fundamental to how they navigate the world.
Okay, but it's not just one single bark sound, is it? The source mentioned that different barks mean different things. Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely. You can think of it like a vocabulary, almost. Those really loud, nonstop barks. Often that's a warning signal.
Like a hey, something's different.
Exactly. The protective instinct kicking in. But then you have those short, sharp, happy-sounding barks during play.
Yeah, the excited yaps.
Right. That's usually excitement, maybe an invitation to play. And then there are the higher-pitched barks, sometimes with pacing or whining, that can often signal anxiety or fear, maybe even frustration.
So you really need to look at the whole picture.
Totally. The context is key, what's going on around them. And their body language, ears, tail, posture tells you a lot too. It's not just the sound itself.
Makes sense. You have to be a bit of a detective.
You do. And another layer the guide mentions is breed. Some breeds are just naturally more inclined to bark.
Oh, right.
Well, terriers, for instance. Beagles, huskies are mentioned too. They're just genetically wired to be more vocal.
So we need realistic expectations. We're not aiming for a completely silent dog if we have, say, a beagle.
Exactly. The goal is management, not necessarily silence. Especially with those breeds. Understanding why your specific dog is barking, considering their breed too, that's really the critical first step.
Okay, understanding the why is step one. Now, why is tackling this excessive barking so important? It's obviously annoying sometimes, but what are the bigger reasons to address it?
Right. It goes beyond just wanting a quieter house, though that's a big motivator. It's really fundamental to having a healthy, respectful relationship with your dog.
How so?
Well, for one thing, unchecked barking can really strain relationships with neighbors. Nobody wants that tension, and sometimes it can even lead to, formal complaints or issues.
You definitely want to avoid the dreaded noise complaint.
Absolutely. But it's also crucial for the dog's own well-being. Providing structure, clear communication through training, it actually helps reduce their anxiety.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, when a dog understands the rules and what's expected, they generally feel more secure, more confident. Plus, the training itself, learning commands, it's great mental stimulation for them.
Keeps their brain busy, prevents boredom.
Exactly. And the guide also links this to just being a responsible owner. Addressing barking humanely shows you're committed to meeting your dog's needs. You're not just trying to shut them up. You're engaging with them, guiding them. It strengthens that bond.
Right, that mutual respect idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get why they bark and why we should manage it. Let's dig into the common culprits. What usually causes dogs to bark excessively?
The guide points to a few usual suspects.
Yeah.
A big one is often just boredom or not enough mental stimulation.
Like they've got nothing better to do.
Pretty much. Dogs are smart. They need things to do, problems to solve. If they're understimulated, barking can become a way to release energy or even just entertain themselves. Like a kid whining, "I'm booed."
Huh. Yeah, I can see that. What else?
Separation anxiety is another major one. Dogs get really attached to us, right? So being left alone can cause serious stress for some dogs. That constant barking when you're gone, it's often a distress call, a genuine cry for help. And sometimes it comes with other things like chewing furniture or trying to escape.
Oh, that sounds really stressful for the dog and the owner.
It really is. And then, of course, there are environmental triggers, things they see or hear outside.
Like the mail carrier or squirrels.
Exactly. Especially in cities, there's constant noise, movement, people walking by, other animals. A dog's territorial instinct gets triggered easily, leading to barking at every little thing they perceive as an intrusion.
So the key takeaway here is figuring out your dog's specific triggers. What sets them off? That's the homework we need to do first.
Precisely. You've got to observe your dog. When do they bark? What just happened right before? Nailing down those triggers is essential for creating a training plan that actually works for your dog.
Okay, detective work underway. Now let's talk about actually tackling this. It can feel pretty overwhelming, the idea of getting a dog to bark less. Where do we even start?
And that's why setting realistic goals right from the start is so important. The guide really stresses this. Aim for management, not total elimination.
Because barking is natural for them.
It is. Trying to stop all barking isn't just unrealistic. It can actually be bad for the dog, stifling their way of communicating.
So, small steps, incremental progress.
Exactly. Think tiny, achievable targets first. The guide uses the doorbell example, which is great. If your dog goes nuts when the doorbell rings.
Which many do.
Right. Your first goal might just be to shorten that barking fit by, say, 5 seconds. Reward them the instant they're quiet, even for that short time. Then, slowly, gradually, you work on increasing that quiet duration before they get the reward.
Okay, that feels way more manageable than stop barking at the doorbell completely on day one.
Totally. Break it down. And the other huge piece the guide emphasizes is consistency from everyone in the house.
Yes, the united front.
Absolutely critical. If one person lets the dog bark at squirrels and another tells them off for it,
The dog's just confused.
completely, it undermines all the training. Everyone needs to be on the same page with the rules and how they're enforced every single time.
Got it. Clear, achievable goals plus unwavering consistency. That creates the right learning environment. Okay, let's get into the toolbox. What are some actual techniques we can use?
All right, the guide outlines several solid methods. A really fundamental one is teaching a quiet command.
How does that work?
So you actually let the dog bark a couple of times first. You're not trying to suppress the initial alert.
Yep.
Then you might gently hold their muzzle gently and say, quiet, in a calm but firm voice. The absolute key is the second they stop barking, even if it's just for a moment to take a breath.
Bam. Reward.
Bam. Immediate reward. Treat, praise, whatever works. And then you repeat. They need lots of consistent practice to link that word quiet with the action of stopping the bark and getting something good.
Clear and direct. I like it. What else is in the arsenal?
Another really powerful technique is desensitization. This is about exposing your dog to their triggers gradually, but in a controlled way so they don't actually react.
Okay, how does that look in practice? Say, with the doorbell again.
Right. You might start with a recording of a doorbell sound, played really quietly. So quiet they barely notice it, or don't bark. While that super quiet sound is playing, you give them treats, praise, happy attention. You're building a positive association with the sound instead of the usual, oh no, someone's coming, panic.
You're changing the meaning of the sound for them.
Exactly. And over time, very slowly, you increase the volume as long as they stay calm and relaxed. You keep pairing it with good things.
So desensitization changes the association. What about counter-conditioning? Is that similar?
It's related, but it focuses more directly on changing the dog's emotional response to the trigger.
Okay.
Let's use the example of a dog barking at other dogs on walks. With counter-conditioning, you'd see another dog at a distance far enough away that your dog notices but doesn't bark.
Right, before the freakout starts.
Exactly. The moment your dog looks at the other dog calmly, without barking, you reward them. Mark that calm behavior.
So you're rewarding the absence of barking, the calm observation.
Precisely. Then, as they get good at that distance, you very gradually decrease the distance to the other dog, always rewarding the calm behavior. The goal is to replace the anxious, barky feeling with a positive, oh, seeing another dog means I get treats if I stay chill feeling.
These sound really effective, but also, they require us to be pretty observant and patient.
Oh, absolutely. Patience and consistency are non-negotiable with these methods. And you probably noticed positive reinforcement is woven through all of them.
Yeah, that seems to be the foundation.
It really is the cornerstone, according to the guide and most modern trainers. Rewarding the behavior you want is the most effective and humane way to encourage your dog to repeat it. Focus on the good stuff.
And rewards don't always have to be food, right? The guide mentioned that.
Correct. High-value treats work great for many dogs, especially during initial training. But praise, a favorite toy, a quick game of tug, even just enthusiastic petting can be powerful rewards. You have to figure out what your specific dog loves most, what really motivates them.
Knowing your dog's currency. And the timing of that reward sounds critical too.
Crucial. It has to be immediate, like within a second or two of them stopping the bark or showing that calm behavior.
So they connect the action with the reward.
Exactly. Any delay, and they might think they're being rewarded for something else entirely. And again, consistency, especially early on, reward that desired quietness every single time it happens, that builds the strong association fastest.
It really feels like positive reinforcement isn't just about stopping barking, it's about building a better relationship overall.
It absolutely is. You're focusing on communication, on success, on making learning enjoyable. It builds trust and strengthens that bond, which makes everything easier in the long run.
Okay, so we have techniques, we understand positive reinforcement. What about other tools or resources? Does the guide mention anything else that might help?
It does mention a few things. Training collars come up, specifically citronella spray collars.
Ah, those. How do they work?
They release a puff of citronella scent, which dogs generally find unpleasant when the dog barks. The guide is very clear, though these are seen as a potential deterrent, maybe a supplementary tool.
Not a magic bullet.
Definitely not. And they should only be used alongside positive reinforcement training. Never just slap one on as a punishment or the sole solution. The focus should always be teaching the dog what you want them to do.
Right, teach the quiet instead of just punishing the loud. What about preventing boredom barking again?
Yes, mental stimulation. So important. The guide highlights interactive toys, puzzle feeders, things that make the dog think and work for their food or treats.
Keep their brains busy.
Exactly. It gives them the constructive outlet for their energy and intelligence. Treat dispensing toys are fantastic. They combine that mental work with the positive reinforcement of getting the treat out. Kills two birds with one stone.
Smart. And we live in the internet age. Are online resources helpful?
Hugely helpful, according to the guide. Things like training videos, articles from certified professional trainers. They can offer really specific step-by-step instructions.
See it in action.
Right. And find approaches tailored to particular problems. Just, make sure you're looking at reputable sources, certified trainers, behaviorists, well-regarded organizations, not just random advice.
Good point. Stick to the experts. Okay, so we're armed with techniques, tools, resources. But training isn't always smooth sailing, is it? What happens when we hit bumps in the road?
That's inevitable. One of the biggest hurdles, as we touched on, is inconsistency.
The whole family not being on the same page.
Exactly. If rules change depending on who's home or training isn't applied consistently, the dog just gets confused and progress stalls. A unified approach is crucial.
What about that tricky situation where the dog barks mostly when you're not home? Separation anxiety-related barking.
Yeah, that's tough because you're not there to intervene directly. The focus there shifts to managing the environment, making sure their space is comfy, safe, secure, providing lots of long-lasting chews or puzzle toys to keep them occupied while you're gone. The guide mentions things like calming aids, pheromone diffusers, anxiety wraps, which might help some dogs.
Things to try.
And working on gradually increasing the time they spend alone comfortably, starting really short, and slowly building up their tolerance. Addressing the underlying anxiety is key.
That makes sense. It sounds like patience is the name of the game throughout all of this.
Absolutely essential. Progress isn't always a straight line. You'll have good days, bad days. Sometimes it feels like one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah.
The key is celebrating the small wins, that slightly shorter bark, that moment of quiet and just sticking with the plan. Persistence pays off.
Okay. Persistence and patience.
Yeah.
But what if you're really trying, you're being consistent, and it's just not working? Or the barking seems extreme. When is it time to call in professional help?
That's a really important point. The guide suggests seeking professional help, like a certified dog trainer, or even better, a veterinary behaviorist if the barking is tied to other really concerning stuff.
Like what?
Like serious aggression, extreme fear, or what looks like severe anxiety. These professionals can properly diagnose if there's a deeper underlying issue and create a whole treatment plan.
So look beyond just the barking noise itself.
Definitely. Also, if you've genuinely tried multiple techniques, you've been consistent, you've used good resources, and you're just stuck, you're not seeing improvement.
Hit a wall.
Exactly. A professional can bring a fresh perspective. They might spot subtle things you're missing, identify triggers you hadn't considered, and offer more targeted strategies for your specific dog and situation. Plus, they can give you hands-on coaching.
Show you exactly how to do the technique.
Right, and give you feedback in real time, which is invaluable.
Where?
Making sure you're doing it correctly makes a huge difference.
So getting help isn't failure, it's actually a smart move.
Absolutely. It shows you're committed to your dog's well-being and to finding a real solution. It's a proactive step towards that peaceful home. Experts can really help achieve lasting change.
Wow, this has been incredibly thorough. We've really covered the whole spectrum, haven't we?
I think so. From the why behind the bark.
Right, understanding their communication.
To the importance of training for everyone involved. The common causes like boredom or anxiety.
Setting those realistic goals, which is so key.
The actual techniques. Quiet command, desensitization, counter-conditioning, and the huge role of positive reinforcement.
Plus the tools, resources, troubleshooting those common problems.
And, crucially, knowing when it's time to bring in an expert.
It really boils down to patience, doesn't it? And consistency, understanding, using positive methods.
It does. But the payoff, that quieter home, that stronger bond, that happier, less stressed dog, it's absolutely worth the effort. It really enhances life for everyone.
For sure. It's about mutual respect and just a better quality of life.
Exactly. And maybe for everyone listening, a good next step is just to pause and really think, what are my dog's specific barking triggers? Just identify one or two. And then thinking about everything we discussed, which technique feels like it might be the best starting point for your situation? Maybe it's time to check out some reputable trainer websites or look for someone certified locally. Just taking that first small step can make a big difference.